to take a seat. We're going to go ahead and get this kicked off. First, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. We know it's a big commitment. We're pleased to have everyone that's been here with us for so many years, and as well the folks that this may be their first year with us at the conference or Mid-America. Our team really works hard through the year to put this on, and without them, none of this would be possible. So we throw a big thanks out to all of our team helping us put this together. We're going to have a great week of learning, some great classes, as well as some networking opportunities. So we welcome you, and we look forward to a great week. Zack?
Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing? Good? Everybody have a good time last night? Yeah. Come on. Louder than that. Come on. Good. As Stacy mentioned, we appreciate each and every one of you. Every year coming and taking the time. It takes a lot of time in your schedule, and that's very important. We appreciate everybody that's here, our clients that are here with us, and we really appreciate everybody that helps put this together. Our organization team that puts this conference together. I mean, there's a lot goes into this, and I don't know if they're in here or not, but you know who you are. I tell you what, stand up. Everybody stand up as part of the conference committee help put this together. Bob's right there, stand up. Courtney, Nicole, where's Nicole? Anyway, so get her in there. She got a big deal. So anyway, I want everybody to give these ladies and gentlemen a round of applause. So we have some really good classes coming up today, tomorrow, and then half day Wednesday, and then we'll have the giveaways on Wednesday, and then we're also doing the golf giveaway on Wednesday as well. Yeah, okay. So that's about it. We appreciate it. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate our beautiful wives right here, supporting us every year. Look at her, she likes it. Our family, our kids, everybody that works with us, we really appreciate it. So we're Gene's going to open up for us this morning, as he always does. Everybody give Gene a round of applause.
That's working. Can you hear me okay? I'm sorry. Well, I was thinking, I was talking to Stacy this morning. This is, I think, 2023. And we started this conference, Mid-America Tax Services Conference, right here in San Antonio in 2013. And I had the privilege of doing the keynote at that conference. And this will be the fifth time these guys have asked me to do the keynote, and I'd like to apologize to you ahead of time for that. But I appreciate your patience and your endurance, and I'm really glad you're here. I think you'll be glad you're here as well by the end of the week. We've got a great week planned for you, a week of learning and growing and networking. I really believe that the Mid-America Conference is the best bargain in the business. I really do. I think you get more for less right here than you'll get anywhere in the country. This year we're doing something a little bit different before I start my speech. And I can't stop it until I start it. So we'll get it started here in a minute. But before I do that, I wanted to bring your attention, you may have already seen it, but this year we've taken on a charity. It's a very worthwhile charity. It's the Navy SEALs Foundation. Our golf tournament yesterday was for the purpose of raising funds for that charity. If you pick up one of the cards, there's a table out there committed to the charity, and these cards are available. Some of them, I saw some of the tables in here, but they're definitely on the table out there. I would encourage you to take one and use the QR code and make whatever donation you feel led to make to this worthy cause. And whatever is raised among us this week, Zack and Stacy have committed Mid-America to matching that. including what we did on the golf course yesterday. So this is a worthy cause, one that we're committed to, and one that we're proud of being part of. Frank and Johnny, a couple of old buddies. They're having a drink at a bar like they do most of the time, just about every week. They will have a few drinks together, talk about old times. They're sitting there having a drink, and Frank nudges Johnny. And he leans over and he whispers, "You see those two old drunks across the way there? Yeah. That's us in 10 years." And Johnny says, "You idiot, that's a mirror." You know, I think the easiest thing in the world to do is to find the flaws and the deficiencies and the shortcomings in other people. Man, I have no trouble with it. I have no trouble spotting where other people fall short. Most of us, I think, are that way. We can do it with our spouse, we can do it with our kids, we can do it with our parents, we can do it with fellow adjusters, co-workers. It's easy to spot the flaws in other people. One of the hardest things, I think, for anybody to do is to see yourself as you really are. To see yourself as you really are. Just a couple of days ago, we buried my mom. And she passed away a week ago Saturday. And so it's been a brutal week. It's been bittersweet because I got to spend some time with family I don't often get to see. Aunts and uncles and cousins and second cousins and people that came in from around the country to honor Mom. And the day before the memorial service, I was at my sister's house, and both of my sisters were there, my wife and I, and a couple of my aunts, my mom's sisters, and we were going through old picture albums, and we were kind of just taking the journey of her life. I saw pictures of my mom when she was a little bitty toddler, all the way up through the wedding photos of her and Dad. They were black and white. They got married in 1960, and all the way through. And around 2000, around the turn of the century, which is hard to believe that was already 23 years ago, isn't it? I mean, I still write 19 whatever on my check sometimes. I don't write checks. But anyway, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since then. But I was looking at some of our family photos that Mom had, and I said, "What in the heck is that fat dude?" And I thought it was my brother, because he's always been bigger than me. But my wife said, "It's you." And I was like 35 pounds heavier at that time than I'd ever been in my life. And I swear, as I was looking at that photo, I know there had to have been mirrors in the year 2000, right? There had to have been opportunities for me to see myself as I was. But I never did. I never did. You know, we tend to gloss over selfies, don't we? We tend to gloss over the pictures of ourselves. We give ourselves the benefit of the doubt. We may not give it to others, but we give it to ourselves. And I think it's hard sometimes for us to see us the way we really are. You know, they used to have in malls everywhere, they used to have a company called Glamour Shots. You know? So in other words, just go in there and tell a lie. Right? Go in there and let them doctor you up and make you into something that's not really you. But we don't need Glamour Shots anymore because we got it on the phone. You know, we have apps on our phone, and if you can't fix yourself up enough with an app, you can make a cartoon of yourself. Put that on Facebook. I mean, it's hard to look. And if you ever see your wife or your girlfriend taking a selfie, what do? They don't do it from down here, I promise you. They do this. I do it too. I don't know what the magic is of that angle, but it's a good angle. It's the best I'm ever going to look, right there. It's hard sometimes to see yourself as you really are. We're focusing this week on what we are calling the adjuster DNA. The idea behind the theme is to identify the essential building blocks of a successful independent adjuster. How many independent adjusters do we have in the crowd today? Okay. Most of you. I'm glad you're here. That's what this company is all about. We are a personnel company. The only product we deliver is people. You are our product, and we're proud of it. We're proud that you're a part of our organization. If you're not part of our organization, I hope you will be by the week's end. But what is it then, if I were to ask you to maybe to write down the qualities, the habits, the core values of a top shelf adjuster, what would you include? Sorry?
No, I will survive.
Okay? The ability to survive. Sometimes that's an essential quality. That's a good one. That's a good one. This can be a feast or famine industry. I've always said, I've been saying it ever since I was introduced to this industry in 2005. People call me and say, hey man, I'm really hurting right now. Usually it's when everybody's really hurting, right? There's nothing going on. There's daily work, but there's no storm work. And it can be feast or famine. And I learned a long time ago, when somebody wants you, everybody wants you. And when nobody wants you, nobody wants you. You have to be able to weather the storm. Survivability, I think, is a good answer. But what are the qualities? What are the essential qualities of a successful adjuster? Do you even know what it takes to be a successful adjuster? What qualities you need as a human? What skills you need as an adjuster? What about core values? What core values do I need in order to be a successful adjuster? Now I'm going to stop right there for a second, because there's a problem that we have with buzzwords. We hear them and we repeat them and they kind of get watered down. Core values has been used so long that we're probably looking for something else to take its place, because nobody hears it anymore. We've seen it, we've heard it. But think about that term, core values. Look, your core values are not what you decide to tell other people you are. Companies can put all kinds of core values on their website. But if that's not who they are at their core, it's just a wish list. Or it's a thin veneer. Your core value is what you value most. Whether it's integrity, responsibility, honesty, whatever it is. It's what you want to be as a human being. What core values do I need to be a successful adjuster? What core competencies do I need? What do I need to be good at? Jonathan Rice is our Vice President of Training and Development, and one of the best trainers in the country. And I'm delighted to have him on both staffs, Mid-America and Adjust You. I work with him in both places. And we work on this all the time. What do people need to know? What do they need to be able to do to go out there and make a good living as an adjuster? What do you need? What core values do you need? I like what Carl Jung said. He said, the world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you. One of the first things we started talking about, Zack and Stacy and I, when I first came back to the company in 2017, was, who are we? If we don't tell people who we are, if we don't decide who we are and tell people and show people who we are, they will decide for us, and we won't like their definition. The world is going to ask you, who are you? And if you don't know, the world will tell you. They will tell you by watching you, listening to you, observing you. They will find out who you are. So the title of my address this morning is Adjust Accordingly. And it's not going to be long, but I hope it'll be impactful for you. I want to talk about 3 areas in each of our lives where we might need, where we have the opportunity to adjust ourselves. Number 1 is personal. Number 2 is professional. And number 3 is with the people in our life. So for each of these, I'm going to ask 2 questions. And I want you to answer. I'm going to ask you to ask yourself 2 questions. And then answer those questions honestly and adjust accordingly. On the personal level, question number one, what makes me the happiest? What makes me the happiest? Now don't lie to yourself. Don't tell yourself the answer you think you should have if it's not true. You know, maybe your wife doesn't know, maybe your husband doesn't know, maybe your kids don't know, but you know what it is that makes you the happiest. How much time do I spend doing that? What makes me the happiest? How much time do I spend doing that? And then adjust accordingly. We're not here for a long time, folks. I had that reminder just a couple of days ago. We're not here for a long time. So how we spend our time really does matter. Every minute really does count. We really don't have time to waste. So find out who you are. What is it that makes you happy? What is it that gets you up in the morning? What is it that motivates you? What is it that you love? How much time do you spend doing it? Well, I do it as often as I can, but I have to make a living. Okay, what adjustments do I need to make in my life so that I can spend more time doing what I enjoy? What adjustments do I need to make? Then on the professional level, question number one, what would it take for me to be the best I can be at my job? Do you know the answer to that? What would it take for me to be the best that I can be at my job? How can I be the best adjuster I am capable of being? And the second question is, what am I doing about it? I know what I need. I know what my deficiencies are, if I'm honest with myself. If I'll take a hard look at myself, not like the old boy at the bar, right? If I'll take a hard look at myself and really see myself as I am, I can figure out where my deficiencies are. If I'm getting 3 out of every 4 files picked back and it's always for the same reason, and it's always something to do with my estimate, maybe I need to bone up on Xactimate. Where are your deficiencies? And what can you do to make those a strength? You know, they say that when you break a bone and then it heals properly, it'll actually be stronger there than any other part of the bone. Right? Where it broke and where it healed, it'll become stronger. You can actually focus on your deficiencies to the point that they become stronger. You can become a better adjuster. But what are you going to do about it? Do you need to sign up for some CE classes that are more than just CEs? Okay. I don't know who that is or what you're talking about. Might be me. Anyway. One of the reasons that the primary reason we started Adjust You was not about revenue initially. It's really not about revenue today as much as it is about resources. We looked around and we saw an aging workforce. We saw that the people that have been doing this for a long time, we're not as young as we used to be. You know, I was thinking about that when I was talking to Stacy about this being the 11th conference that we've had, and I spoke at the first one. I was a young man, and it's 11 years later. So you know, we're aging, and we need to bring in new blood, and so it was about resources. It was about bringing in people and training them to be an adjuster, to pick up the mantle, to carry the torch. This industry is as vibrant as it's ever been, but it's not the same as it's always been, right? It's changed. Technology has changed it. Lawsuits have changed it. Katrina changed it. Every time there's a major hurricane, there are changes in this industry, and we have to adapt. That's why they call us, you know, I came from a background where I had been, where I had titles that I was proud of, right? I'd worn titles that meant something to me. And when I first became an adjuster, I thought, I don't know how I outside and tell people I'm an adjuster. You know, and what the heck's an adjuster? I had no idea what an adjuster really was. I'm gonna turn this over on. I don't know if he's bothering you, but he's bugging me. Let's go back to this one. I'm not moving around. How's that? All right. Get the ghost out of the machine. So you have to adjust, right? You just adjust. That's what you do. We're adjusters. That's a great title. That's a great title. If you can be an adjuster, you can be anything. Because to be a success in this world, you have to adjust. You have to adjust. Because when you figure out the formula for success, they're going to change it. When you figure out how to do it the right way won't be the right way anymore. You have to adjust. You have to adjust. So, what can you do to better yourself? Well, I think what you do, you go to adjust-u.com and look at our classes, right, gentlemen? Sign up for a class, because we're not just there to take up your time, we're there to invest in you. We're there to make you better, because the better you are, the better we are. Number 3 is people. Question number 1, who are the people that mean the most to me? That's the question I want you to ask you. Who are the people that mean the most to me? What faces come to mind? Who are the people that mean the most to me? Question number 2, how much of my time and myself am I investing in them? Not just how much of my time, but how much of myself am I investing in them? Over the past year, my mother was in a nursing home for, I think, a little over 2 years, at the end of her life. And over the past year, she had deteriorated. And over the past 6 months, it enhanced, and over the past couple of months, it got even worse. But during that year, she lives in Mount Pleasant in East Texas. And I live in North Hills, which is north of Fort Worth. So it's about a 2.5-hour drive, if the traffic's good, to get to Mom. This is a busy world, and ours is a busy industry, and I don't know how many opportunities I passed up to go see my mom. It was too many. But I know this. Around Christmas, we determined, my wife and I, we've got to see Mom at Christmas time. So Christmas fell on Sunday this year. You remember that? Last year. And so we were going to have a Christmas Eve dinner with our kids, which we always do. We always host our kids on Christmas Eve. We invited her parents to join us for that, and they did. And then we were going to go on Christmas Day to see Mom. And, you know, about 8 o'clock Christmas Eve, I started kind of wiggling, I started saying, man, that's 5 hours. We're going to have to drive down there, spend a few hours with Mom, and drive back. That's 5 hours in the car. And I've got to work tomorrow. You sure we need to do that? And she wouldn't let me out of it. She said, we're absolutely going to see your mom. And not only that, I'm going to make 2 Christmas dinners. The one that we're eating tonight and the one I'm going to take to your mom. We are going to see your mother on Christmas. Yes, ma'am. And we did. And Mom wasn't really doing great that day. It wasn't a good day. She had so much arthritic and other sorts of pains that they kept her medicated. And so you could be in the middle of a conversation, and she had I don't know how many strokes, 6 or 8 strokes. So it was hard to understand her. Some days she was more lucid than others. She always understood you, but it was hard to understand her. And sometimes she'd be talking and she'd just fall asleep while she was talking to you, or while you were talking to her. You just wait for her to come back. And so it wasn't a great day. And Donya my wife, she had made this wonderful meal, ham and all the vegetables and a wonderful dessert. And we took all that to Mom. And Donya made her a plate. My sisters were there with their people, and we were going to have lunch with Mom. And Donya made a wonderful plate for Mom. But my sister Deanna had said, well, she's not eating that much these days. She'll love this if she eats it. And Mom kept looking at it, and she said, I'll eat it in a minute. I'll eat it in a minute. And then she'd fall asleep and she'd wake up. And we ended up packing up that meal that she had worked so hard on, and we gave it to my sisters, but my mother never took a bite of it. She never had a bite. But it was cathartic for my wife to make it for her, whether she ate it or not. It wasn't the best day. that I ever spent with my money, but it was the last day. See? So, who are those people? And how much of your time, but more importantly, how much of yourself are you investing in them? Adjust accordingly. Personally, professionally, people-wise, what adjustments do we need to make? It's a great thing to be an adjuster, it really is. Because you learn to adapt. You learn to overcome circumstances. And you can apply that skill, you can apply that knowledge to every aspect of your life. Because your life isn't really divided into all these pieces, it's just you. It's just you and what is important to you and what you do every day that makes you you. I'm reading a book. It's long overdue, I guess, because I think it was published in 2006. And it's by Lou Holtz, one of the most inspiring coaches to ever live. Really, I mean, the whole book is like, it's just inspiration on every page. It's amazing. The book is called Wins, Losses, and Lessons. And like all of us, you think, when you think about people that you think of as winners, you know, the Nick Sabans of the world, whoever you want to name, people that just seem like that's all they've ever done is win, I promise you that's not true. That's not true. And as I read that book of Lou's, I thought, man, the stuff this guy went through. I mean, there was a couple of times, there was one time he got fired before he got there. Because the coach that hired him decided to take another job. He didn't even get unpacked and he found out he didn't have a job because the new coach must bring his people in. Right? I was telling a couple of guys a while ago, he told a story when he was on Woody Hayes' staff. Some of y'all old enough to remember Woody Hayes. He was a mean son of a gun. He was a great coach. He was rough on his staff, boy, and he knew all the cuss words and used them regularly. And Lou Holtz was his defensive backs coach, and they were going to play USC, and O.J. Simpson was the running back. And he was putting his finger in Lou's chest, and he said, "Lou, I don't care what else happens in this game today. O.J. Simpson better not run for a touchdown." Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And about the third play in, O.J. Simpson ran 80 yards for a touchdown. And Woody Hayes threw his clipboard, whatever he had, came running down there to Lou, and he said, "I thought I told you not to let O.J. Simpson run for a touchdown. Why did he run 80 yards?" And Lou said, "Well, Coach, I guess it's because that's all he needed." And sometimes life's that way, right? He said Woody fired him so many times he couldn't keep up with it. And Hayes finally told him, "If I don't put it in writing, don't worry about it." He went through a lot in his life, but early on, and he had a speech impediment. If you've ever heard him speak, you know that. He battled it his whole life. Tremendous communicator, but when he was a kid, the impediment was so bad he couldn't understand anything he said. He had to work at it every day. And he came up early in his life, he came up with an acronym that he used in every situation, whether it was a big loss or a big win. Something good happened, something bad happened. He would ask himself, WIN, what's important now? Man, that'd change everything about you. That would change everything about how you respond to negativity, how you respond to positivity. It's just as important how you respond to winning as it is how you respond to losing. You know that? For every 1,000 people that can handle failure, there will be one that can handle success. Yeah. So I want to ask you right now. I ask myself this as I had been at Mom's side all day. I got there about mid-morning Saturday. All day long, I watched her struggle. The fluid had settled in her lungs. She was never conscious that day. And I told my wife, I said, "Looks like we're not going home. I better go get a room." So I stepped out to secure a room. Danya went to the restroom, and then my sister-in-law came running down the hall about 2 minutes later. Been there all day. I stepped out for 2 minutes, and she came running down the hall and said, "She just passed. She just passed." And I went, and stood at her side. And I asked myself, as I looked at my brother and his wife, I'm the oldest. So I look at my brother and I look at his wife and my two baby sisters. I asked myself this question: Gene, what's important now? So I'm going to ask you to ask yourself this question. This week, you're here. You know, you're here for a good time. You're here for some laughs. You're here for some fun. You're here to learn. You're here to grow. Every time you sit down in a class, every time you meet a new person, what's important now? Adjust accordingly. Thank you. I think Nicole's going to come tell us. Nicole, you going to, where are you? Is she here? If not, I'm going to just